Today we are going to look at verb conjugation in German. We're going to be talking about the why, when, and how of verb conjugation. Look at the examples on this page and see if you can figure out each of the sentences from the pictures provided. Er springt gern. Ich schreibe einen Brief. Sie schläft spät. Der Mann läuft schnell. Why conjugate? Please pause the video and write down a response to that question, why conjugate? You will be evaluated on your answers to these questions as well as the thoroughness of the notes that you take. When speaking any language, it's important to know not only the words but how to put them together correctly. Although a person will understand you if you don't conjugate correctly, they will likely believe that you aren't very familiar with the language. Consider this example. She drive the car and he run behind it. Even though you understand the sentence, it isn't correct. Much of the time, we can tell that a person is a foreigner because of their use of the language. We want you to learn proper conjugation rules so that you speak German correctly. Here are a few more examples for you. He goed to school. Following that rule of played, watched, we do have irregular verbs in English. He went to school. She eat pizza. Common mistake. I eat pizza, you eat pizza. She eats pizza. We seen a movie and I done that. Common mistakes that could be made, and we want to avoid these in German. When should you conjugate? Pause the video and please write a response to this question. Hopefully you came up with the easy answer of always. And now the tricky part, how do you conjugate? That will be the next several slides in this presentation, teaching you the pieces that you need to put it all together. There are some basic rules to German conjugation that you are going to learn. These rules apply to some verbs. Regular verbs follow the rules almost all the time. However, just when you learn the rules and start feeling confident about your conjugating skills, you learn the tricky irregular verbs. These verbs follow no rules and must simply be memorized. We are only going to be focusing on regular verbs in this lesson and also only regular verbs in Unit 1. Before you can conjugate, you need to know how to recognize a verb in German. Almost all verbs in German end in the letters en when they are in their infinitive form. These are the 5 regular verbs from Kapitel 1 or Unit 1. Gehen, heißen, kennen, kommen, and wohnen. You will notice that they all end in en, and again, that's the infinitive form. That is a very important term to become familiar with, as that is the starting point of any verb. If you look up a word in any dictionary, glossary, vocabulary page, or website, the definition will almost always start with to, indicating an action. That to can be associated with the en in German. There are 9 personal pronouns that are used in conjugation in German. They are ich, which is I, du, which is you, informal singular, he, sie, she, es, it, wir, we, ihr, you plural. You can think of that as y'all or you guys. Sie, you formal. Notice the capital S. And sie, they. At this point, you should have already learned the different forms of you, and you need to be aware of them with conjugation. Again, du is you informal singular. Ihr is you plural. This is also an informal form. And sie with a capital S is you formal. Conjugating without pronouns can be a little tricky. Because you won't always see those recognizable pronouns in German sentences. Sometimes you will see a name, a group of names, or an object. For one guy or one boy's name, you need to keep in mind that that would conjugate for er. For example, Wilhelm. Wilhelm goes to a movie, he goes to a movie. So er. One girl is sie, as in she. Monika comes over, she comes over. One object would be thought of as es, it. Two names being referred to are sie, as in they. Monika and Wilhelm watch a movie, they watch a movie. And you might also come across ich and a name combined for wir. My mother and I are going shopping, we are going shopping. Now that you know the pronouns, you need to know the verb endings associated with those pronouns. The personal pronouns are always grouped in the same way. Ich and the verb ending is e. Du and the verb ending is st. Er, sie, es, the verb ending is t. You will notice that er, sie, es are always grouped together because they take the same ending. Wir ends in en. Ihr ends in t. And sie and sie are always grouped together and end in en. Some things that I tell my students when we're working on conjugation to think about. Icky, dust, and then you can group the remaining ones 10, 10. So if you learn your personal pronouns in order, ich, du, er, sie, es, wir, ihr, sie, sie, you can learn these endings in the icky, dust, 10, 10 order. And now let's look at putting it all together. I like to put things in steps. Step 1, you would identify the infinitive form of a verb. Step 2, you would remove the ending. Remember, an infinitive form commonly ends in en, so that's what we're going to remove in step 2. Step 3, I would identify the subject, be it a personal pronoun, name, or group of names. And then I would add the proper ending based on the subject identified in step 3. For example, I have the verb gehen. I remove the ending which leaves me with the stem of the verb geh, G-E-H. If I were using the subject ich, I would add the ending e, ichi, and have ich gehe, I go. This could also be du, so du gehst, er geht, sie geht, es geht, wir gehen, ihr geht, sie gehen, and sie gehen. So let's do a few sentences together just to practice what you have learned. In this exercise, you need to conjugate the verb in parentheses for the subject provided in the sentences, following the steps on the previous page. So step 1 was identify the infinitive form of the verb. In this exercise, the infinitive form is in parentheses. Step 2, remove the ending. The ending is en, and that leaves you with the stem of the verb. So geh, komm, wohn, heiß, kin. Step 3, identify the subject. And step 4, add the proper ending. If we look at each of these, let's see how you did. Ich gehe in die Stadt. Kommst du heute mit? Er wohnt gleich um die Ecke. Wie heißen Sie? Sie kennt Manuela. Wohin geht ihr? Ich komme nicht. Dirk wohnt weit von hier. Wie heißt du? Wir kennen Herr Schmidt. Now, the last thing that I want you to think about with verb conjugation in German is that there is only one verb in most German sentences. They do not use helping verbs the way that we do in English. For example, we say, I eat or I am eating. In German, you would never have the I am translated. So, this little song might help you remember to use only one verb in these beginning German sentences. Ich esse, I am eating, or I eat. Ich esse, I am eating, or I eat. Don't use a helping verb. You don't need the extra word. Ich esse, I am eating, or I eat. Okay, so that's really important to remember. No I am in German when you have another verb in the sentence.